Welcome to No Instructions. I'm Bob.
And I'm Josh.
I have a whole bunch of gray pieces in front of me.
Yeah, dude, they all look the same.
They all look very, very similar.
That's fun.
So today I'm starting on the Exosuit,
which I'm really excited about.
This is a set that I wanted really badly when it came out, and I just forgot about it. So if you're watching, this is one of like the first. It was like an Ideas type. It was before Ideas, right?
Yeah, it was the precursor to Ideas.
Yeah. Share your idea, gather support. Yeah.
Yep.
Whatever that thing was called. Well, it says Lego Ideas on it now.
Yeah, so. The first Ideas was like a Japanese satellite. It's very expensive to get.
Yeah, it's like $1,000 or something.
It's not that big. It's just rare.
Yeah.
I think it was only released in Japan. That's how you know it's cool.
But I never got this set when it came out. I just forgot about it, and then it kind of disappeared. And once we started doing this show, I was like, oh, I got to find some cool sets that I've missed, you know. So I started looking through them, and this was one of them. And I found it on eBay for, I don't know, it was like $35 or something.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the going rate.
It wasn't too bad.
Because I wanted to make it one time. You're like, no, you won't. You were very defensive about it. I was like, oh, boy.
That was mine. But I actually got something else. I'm not going to make today, but I want to show it to you.
Okay.
I'm more excited about it than you will be. I guarantee it. Check this out.
Should I close my eyes?
No. If you're watching, check this out.
Ooh.
This is the 1978, I believe, 1977 R2-D2 model kit from MPC. This is still in the box. It's not shrink wrapped. I passed up the shrink wrap version because I knew I was going to open it and just save some money. But look at this. Everything is still on the sheets. It's complete. Still in the bag.
Shiny. Now, that's a snap tube?
No, it's a glue tube. But the reason that I wanted this one, glued together, the reason that I wanted this one was because as soon as I saw it online, I remembered that my brother had it when we were growing up. And this is one of the models of his that I ruined, I'm pretty sure. And I'm not going to give him this one because I've already paid my penance for that. But I think, sorry, Bill, if I haven't. But anyway, it just reminded me, like, oh, there was a really cool R2-D2 model from when I was a kid. And so I started looking it up, and it wasn't that expensive. But it's just a cool old piece of, old piece of memorabilia. And I really haven't looked at the instructions yet to see how it goes together. But I'm excited. I don't know. I now that I'm deep in the R2 building thing, I'm kind of interested in how all these old models and even current models, how they represent the same pieces and the same stuff. Like, it'll be different for sure because this is less accurate than what's out now. But anyway, I don't know when I'll get to this. In fact, part of me kind of doesn't even want to make it, but I just...
Oh, you do?
I mean, I
is that the collector and you coming back?
Kind of. I just kind of want it.
Yeah.
But anyway, you'll probably hear a ton of noise today because summer is here, which means my kids are home, but also my wife is taking care of a bunch of other kids.
My kids are here.
Neighbor kids are here. So yeah, there's gonna be
your house is the place to be right now.
Well, yeah, you know, that's what we do.
It's the happening joint.
Yep. What are you up to?
I'm still working on. I got to not call it what you called it.
I accidentally almost called it. What did I say?
The Iron Machine.
The Iron Machine model.
Yeah. Wait a minute. This isn't right. Oh, geez. Hold on. I'm working on War Machine. That's not how that has to go together. You can't put two of those together. I've never done this before, and I know that much. Oh, boy. But I'm working on War Machine. That will eventually become the Punisher. Ooh.
Punisher Machine. Does he have a name at that?
It's called Punisher War Machine, and I have one of the comic books right here. Oh. But I super glued this thing, so I need to quickly fix this. And I stuck to my finger. 30. Oh, why didn't you put that next to 34?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Punisher Machine.
Yeah. Okay. I need to read numbers better. Hold on.
Riveting to listen to.
Well, that's not right.
Just
either.
as riveting to watch, I'm sure.
Oh boy.
But, okay, well, while he figures that out, summer is here.
Oh boy.
And so that means a lot is changing around here for us. Like, as far as I have a different schedule in the morning, which is actually kind of cool. We don't have to get up at 6 o'clock to get them to school. So now I'm able to get up 6:30 sleep a little bit longer, but then be up for like an hour by myself before I go for my run. Have coffee, sit on the back porch, do stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been doing that more lately too. Kind of waking up earlier than everybody. It's really nice. It's quiet.
It is. It's super nice. I feel like I have a tolerance problem here with this piece of Lego. This should fit together, and it doesn't. So, if you know Lego at all, you can take the female end of a stud, like a 1x, and you can put it in between 4 males, and this one won't fit. Oh, I lied. Yeah, it fits. Never mind. So, you went camping.
Oh, yes,
we talked
I
about
did.
that last time. How did it go?
It went surprisingly well. We tried, my wife, my lovely, beautiful wife, front-loaded a lot of the work, getting the food ready, getting everybody's kind of bags ready. We talked about on here, using the bigger tent because everybody wanted to probably sleep in the same tent. And afterward, we kind of talked about like what went right, what went wrong, what would we do differently next time. And I think that the 2 tents, whoops, sorry, I kicked the microphone. I think the 2 tents would have worked. But now that we've done it, kind of the big tent, I think next time we'll do 2 because they didn't want to sleep. And they didn't want to sleep because, not because we were in the room, just they were just kind of wired, jumping around and playing. But it was really nice. We went out.
I'm curious, how would that change with 2 tents? Or what would be the...
I could go to sleep when I want to go to sleep. Or I could at least lay down when I want to lay down. Because they were in the tent. And we just waited outside. The first night we were all really tired because we went on this big long hike.
Oh.
I'm like, I want to go lay down. But I know that if we go in there, they're just going to want to play and be loud. And I don't know. I just want my own tent.
Yeah, cool.
I think that was one thing we came away with. That I think the fears that we had, while we were very cautious, and I think it was a good idea to be that cautious on the first time. But I think we can use 2 tents. Cool. And because putting up your tent, I'm unfamiliar with it. Like I've done my other 2 tents. I know how it goes together. I don't need the instructions. One of them is one of those ones that like folds on itself with like the springs, or not the springs, but like kind of spring steel band, like a laundry hamper.
Yeah.
Or like the little shade you put in the front of your car.
Yeah.
And so you just take it and you throw it and boom, the tent's ready to go.
Nice.
And when I had yours, it was way bigger than ours. I'm like, okay, how do we do this? And then I started getting a little frustrated because I was trying to put the tent together and the kids were trying to walk on it and they were trying to be, I think what some people could describe as helpful. And I started getting a little stressed. Like, man, let's just put this thing up and we can go do what we got to do. But my wife did an amazing job getting all the food and everything together. Like she had breakfast and dinner planned. She had stuff to make like sandwiches because we were going hiking. It's called Natural Bridge. I think that's what it's called. Natural Bridge State Park in eastern Kentucky. Super nice hikes. Way different than the Florida camping that my wife and I are used to. There weren't any bugs.
Yeah.
Like, that's bonkers. You can't go camping without just waking up soaking wet with 1,000 mosquito bites on you, and we didn't.
See, that's funny because, I mean, I know, you camp where you can camp. But to me, camping in Florida, I don't think I've ever done it. It sounds absolutely horrible.
Well, my wife
it
used
just
to go
doesn't
camping.
sound like camping to me. It sounds like being hot outside.
Yes, that's really what it is. You be hot outside, inside of a little nylon incubator.
Yeah.
But she used to go camping with her family all the time. My family had campers, like my grandparents, my aunts, and uncles. So when we went camping, it was in a camper or like an RV. But she would go with her family on the river. So it was like an aquatic camping style thing. It was all just kind of all in one. And there was a little stream kind of river thing where we were staying that she actually had to save a kid's life. She plucked a kid out of the water.
I
was so proud of her. Yeah. Apparently this kid didn't know how to swim. There was a little drop off underneath the water that was kind of murky that nobody saw. She hopped to. That kid is alive now.
Nice. That's a good thing.
Yep. I think he is obliged to name his firstborn after her.
Even if it's a dude.
Yep.
That dude is named Tiffany.
Tomphany.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad it was a good trip.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there was the little hiccups along the way.
Yeah, there always is.
Kids are complaining when they first get there. This is a thing. We purposely unplugged, like left our phones places.
Yeah.
I purposely did not look at my phone for things. I had some work stuff to do as we were leaving, and I got that done. Some Instagram-y kind of reports and insights and metrics and things I had to look up and send to people, but I did that, I think, probably before we left town. I had that done. And it was nice, but I was bored.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't bring a book. I didn't bring anything else to do. And then part of me was like, well, if I listen to a podcast, is that the same thing as reading a book? I mean, if I listen to an audio-book, is it worse because I'm using a device than a book?
I mean, that's a whole discussion in and of itself. Like, is listening to an audiobook actually reading a book? And I would say yes, it is.
I agree.
I mean, I think there's definitely, when you're younger, there's a lot to be learned by physically reading a book, because you need to learn how to do that and learn how to do it quicker than you start out doing it. But once you can read, I mean, as an adult, I think it's exactly the same. You're taking it in,
Yep. You're receiving information one way or the other.
It's like watching live music or listening to recorded music. In my mind, it's the same thing. But that's just me.
And then part of me was like, well, we're trying to unplug. And then there were times where I was by myself. Like when they went over to the little stream thing, I just kind of hung back because I was tired, and we went on a big hike. And I was like, I kind of want to listen to a podcast. I'm like, but I'm supposed to not be plugged. Sounds gross. But I don't know. And so yeah, I did. Just she didn't care.
Guilty or something? Or?
No, it was kind of a challenge for myself. I'm like, can I even do this? Like, am I that addicted to technology that I feel like I have to fill empty time with kind of just random perusing, not purpose. And there were times where I'm like, ooh, I want to look up this thing. And I think that, like, if I was at home and I had Encyclopedia Britannica around me, I could just run to it, or I could pick up my phone, and I think that those things are really the same.
Yeah, I mean, don't you think that's different than actively using that tool to get some knowledge or to figure something out, or whether that's very different than just like, well, I'm bored, I may as well pull up my phone and go through the Instagram feed that goes on forever.
Yes, I think those are very different things.
I think the danger is when that becomes your de facto. Like, that's your default. Anytime you're at rest, you are just scrolling.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying not to do. And, I mean, I do that. A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
I do that. And I've noted that's something that I want to quit doing, or not do as much, as just like a default, like, I'm bored, let's randomly scroll.
Right.
So that it can just fill time. Not that I'm engaged by every single piece of information or content that I have on Twitter, Instagram, or whatever. It's just occupying my visual space.
Right. So I've been learning Italian for a while now. I think I'm on like day 76 or something like that. But that I've tried to keep, even though I don't really need to learn Italian anymore because we already went, and I don't know when we'll go again. I don't really need to learn it, but I'm trying to keep that up as a time filler, as a way to, if I have free time and I'm not engaged in anything else, but I feel bored, I can, even if I've done my lesson for the day, I can always pull that out and do lesson. And it's on the phone. It's like a way that I'm still learning something. I'm reinforcing something, but I'm not just like mindlessly scrolling.
Yeah.
And I've really enjoyed that. It's not, especially Italian is not really a language I ever had any desire to learn. And I kind of still don't. But it's like I'm already into it, and I'm enjoying the fact that I'm learning something new, and I just kind of want to keep going on it until I can actually speak it a little bit. I don't know when I'll do that, but it'd be cool just to be able to,
Well, there were opportunities where I'm like, I should teach my kids stuff, because I was a survival instructor. I'm like, I know how to do things, and I have in my camping gear, I've got my little waterproof bags of like, this is my fire starting, this is my medical thing, this is, So we went to make a fire, and I'd show my son. I'm like, hey, he knows about flint from Breath of the Wild as we were playing Zelda.
Oh,
like
nice.
You collect flint and you can use it to start a fire. I'm like, let's actually start a fire with flint. And I showed him how to, strike the scraper and it shoots sparks, and then does this thing light on fire better than this material, like surface area and things. And I was like, this could be really good, and it could be really terrible that I'm trying to show my son how to start fires. Because I went through a little pyromania stage where I just wanted to light stuff on fire. And it was really good. At first he was nervous because it shot sparks. And then we had little hypothesis experiments. Like I had newspaper, I had dryer lint, and there's like a cotton ball. I'm like, which one of these things do you think is going to light on fire easiest and why? And which one's going to burn the longest and why? And so we had a little science lesson.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. And he got excited. And I got a picture of him standing over like the fire that he made, which is pretty fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, but the three of my kids, my wife got these little like glow stick masks and glow stick little weapons and things. So at night they're running around with these little glow sticks. Well, they made their own kind of superheroes out of them because they had different masks. Like Deacon had one with little horns, and my middle son had one that looked like a bat, and my daughter had one that looked like a butterfly. And so they all had these superhero kind of personas, and they were like running around our campsite, and then actually met some kids from down the way at another campsite, and just kind of went. And they occupied themselves.
That's cool.
Because when they first got there, my oldest son was mad. He's like, I'm bored. What do I do? I'm like, I don't know, man. Just go.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
And for some kids, that can be very natural, but for my son, it's not. And my wife and I were listening to a podcast on the way home, and it was a couples podcast, and they were talking about traveling with their kids and how you have to be a cruise director, like to your children.
Yeah. Pretty much.
And it's not like for the cruise director, it's not a fun cruise.
Right, they're
it's
working.
Work.
Yeah.
And so if you go on
point.
vacation with your kids, like you're a cruise director.
Yeah.
And he looked at me like, "Hey, cruise director, like when's shuffleboard? When's all the activities?" And I'm like, "I got nothing scheduled for you, brother. Go play." And he was not liking that idea. And then eventually, we just kind of scattered some of the things that my wife brilliantly brought with us, and they started to play together.
Yeah.
They played with other random kids, which gave their parents like a tad little break.
Right.
So,
yeah, summer is kind of like that. I mean, for kids that are in school, you know, they have this big block of their day, almost every day, that's laid out for them, that they're occupied, they're given things to do actively by the teachers and by the school, and then they get home, they have homework, and then they have chores and whatever. And so summer comes around, and they're just like,
what now?
What do I do?
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't know. Not my problem.
Yeah.
You have free time that you will never have for the rest of your life.
Yep.
Find something fun to do, you know.
I used to get so upset when my dad would go, "I'm not your entertainment committee." And I used to think that was such like an old man cop-out statement. And then when my son looks at me, he's like, "Well, what are we doing?" I'm like, "I don't know what you're doing. We are on parallel tracks here, brother. You need to go find your way."
I remember specifically, well, I'm sure this happened a lot, but one time when I was a kid, my mom stayed home when I was growing up, and so before I went to school, you know, like I was hanging out at the house a lot, and she would, you know, give me stuff to do, and we would play and whatever. And I remember one time just being bored, and I occupied myself a lot because I played. My brother and sister were older than me, so I played by myself a lot. You know, we weren't like into the same stuff. But one time I just was like whining, like, "I'm so bored, I don't have anything to do." And she was like, I don't remember how she said it, but the idea was just be bored. Like, you don't have to fill your time with something. And that always stuck with me because I don't do that naturally. I'm always looking for something to... And now I don't have trouble filling time, right? Now I've always got things that I want to do. Like, oh, any free moment that nobody needs me and nobody... You know, everybody's occupied, I can go work on R2-D2 for a few minutes. Or right. I can, like... I've never been able to sit down in this house and play music by myself because I've never made time for it, because anytime that I have little bits, I'm like, oh, I could do this, or I could do that, or I could do music, or I could whatever. But as a kid, it was just like she was trying to reinforce that I should just enjoy the fact that I have nothing to do. And, you know, I mean, I need to teach my kids that too, but you also want them to be kind of self-starters and be able to come up with something to occupy their time.
Your imagination. Use your imagination. It's really fun.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, with my mom, we used to do a thing where every once in a while she would take, like, either my brother or my sister, I like out and have like an individualized day. And we do that with our kids. We try our best to make it, you know, a very personal experience.
That's hard for us to do.
It really is. It's hard for us too.
Sorry, go ahead.
But I think that whenever they're home, they just expect that. And they're like, okay, when are we going to go do our own personalized thing where we go spend money on stuff, like go to the movies or go to Target or go to wherever? And their expectation of that existence just happening all the time. And I'm like, this is not one of those moments. Like, that's not the standard. So whenever they have to fill their own time, they feel like an extra deficit because they're being ignored, maybe? I don't know. That's speculation. But it was really rewarding and really quite nice just to watch them go play together. And then they would fight because they're kids. Yeah. That's what they do.
It like always reverts to that.
Yep. But for the most part, they had a great time. And it looked like they had a great time. And one night, like, I made a fire and we did s'mores, and the little ones went to bed, and my oldest son and my wife, they've been reading this book together. They sat out, and I was really tired, and I'm like, I'm going to go lay down. Stare daggers at my daughter who doesn't want to sleep, keep her from waking up and jumping all over people. I could hear them out there reading this book together. And they stayed up until like midnight, like the night that we were leaving. And then he went to go lay down, and he's like, Mom, I can't. I heard this the next morning. He was like, Mom, I can't sleep. Can I help you clean up? And so, because it was supposed to rain the next morning, which it didn't. So he helped her that evening, like pack all the stuff that could be packed up, packed it all up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they had an amazing time. And he told me, he's like, I went to bed, and it was like 12:30 in the morning. I'm like, well, that's great. Like, good. I'm excited that he got to have that moment with her, and he got to like take some responsibility and have those personalized moments like we're talking about at a camping trip, and to enjoy a book. Like, all of those things were wins, huge wins in my opinion, because I was never one to enjoy reading books. It was always just mandatory reading at school.
Yeah.
I never found something that kind of caught my attention and I really enjoyed, and they have a lot. So there were a lot of really key moments, I think, in the camping trip that they're probably not going to remember and they're not going to hold true. But for a first excursion with all of us together, I mentioned last time we spoke that I'm trying not to be a humbug about it. I'm trying not to doom it before it starts, and I didn't. And it went okay.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I was kind of hoping to have that same type of beginning to summer vacation, and it's been a disaster.
Really?
I mean, not that. That's a exaggeration. So Sunday afternoon, we had a bunch of yard work to do. And we took turns mowing, and we took turns just doing stuff. And the kids we bought them new water guns. One of them was out at a friend's house, and the other three just like shot each other with water guns for a long time. And they did great, and that was fun. And then Monday, the first non-school day of the summer, right? I'm like, all right, you guys have nothing to do. I mean, do your chores in the morning. They're done quickly, 20 minutes, and then you're free. And it was nonstop all day long, fighting, arguing, hitting, throwing, screaming. 3 kids got grounded. It was just like, come on, guys. Like, This is your time to enjoy. And you're ruining it because you're upset about things that don't matter, or you're being unkind, or you're, whatever.
Just being butts. Like, stop. It doesn't work out for you. The futility of that.
That's the thing. I wish I could get that through to them. Like, patience is not fun. I get it. I'm not terribly patient. But a little bit of patience goes so much further. And I had to explain this again, that like everybody makes mistakes. Everything you do is not going to be right, and we don't expect that of you. But instead of like blaming somebody else for your mistakes or like fighting back and talking about it, just stop and apologize.
Yeah.
Like, my daughter got into this big thing, and she talked back to her mom, and it turned into a bigger thing and a bigger thing and a bigger thing. And then it was just like everybody's crying and mad and this and that. And I'm like, when she called you out, if you had taken a split second and just said, I made a mistake, I shouldn't have done that, I'm sorry, all would have been forgiven. The rest of the day could have gone on, but it just it fell downhill from there, and it was just bad. And I wish I could get that through to them. I know it's a maturity thing that they just have to get to. But
points like that, I try to stop and go like, when did I get humility? Like, at what point in my life can I say that I was finally humble enough to understand that? And it was deep into my 20s.
Yeah.
And it was a hard-fought lesson. And so some of those things, like, if I have to give grace to my kids, it's when I stop and go, like, when did I understand that point that I'm trying to stress to them right now? Because it sure wasn't 8 or 4.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Well, it's a sucky point. But yes.
But I mean, as far as like being fair to them and like trying to be a little more gracious to them, that is a good point to remember that they're not us. They're not
Yeah,
know,
you
as
don't
far
develop or you don't catch on to that thing as soon as I tell you about it.
Yeah.
You know, you don't care whenever I tell you, or you don't understand, or this is the first of many life lessons to reiterate this point that you're going to have along your journey. And it just kind of sucks that it's not a one and done type situation.
So, slightly related, we went and saw Aladdin the other day, this weekend. Pretty good.
Yeah.
I was actually impressed that they took an animated movie and turned it into a live action that was good.
Impressed. That's a good explanation.
But there's a point in it where Jasmine,
Crap.
and I don't remember how this happened in the animated version, so I don't know if it's the same or not. But she basically sang this song that I'd never heard about how she was supposed to be seen and not heard, and she didn't want that, and she wanted to be able to speak her mind and this and that and that. And
That's why you want to be heard or some junk.
well, no, I mean it was. I don't remember the specifics of how she said it, but basically she felt like she was supposed to be seen and not heard. And about kids were that, and that was it voiced because her dad was the Sultan, and so whatever. So when my daughter got into all this trouble, she was upset, and my wife was upset, and I tried to go in not being upset because I wasn't a part of the whole conversation, and like, let's talk about it. What happened? And her response after seeing this movie was, I feel like I don't ever get to talk. And I feel like you guys expect me to be seen and not heard. And I was like, ooh, ouch.
Thanks, Disney.
That hurt. Because, I mean, there's a little bit of truth to that. Like, we don't let them respond often when they're wrong. We know they're wrong. We try to, like, reinforce what we think they should do or how we, and a lot of times we don't let them voice what they want in the moment. Not that I don't care what they think or anything, but in that moment, it's more important to me to get the right thing across. But I realized through talking to her that letting her, and I've seen this in my oldest son too, letting her say the things she needs to say, right or wrong, good, bad, whatever, getting that out, I think makes more room for her to be able to listen to what we actually want to say to her.
Oh, that is huge. For me personally, like in this moment, if I don't get to say my piece, no matter what it is, I could be wrong. I know I'm wrong, but I had intention behind whatever my action was, and I need to explain that.
Right.
So whenever I've been disciplined for whatever tiny things, it's usually because my methods or my way was incongruent with whoever my boss happened to be.
Right.
Not that it was detrimental for some reason. And so if I've ever been
not
disciplined,
bad, just different.
yeah, I will harbor this thing that just grows. I'm like, I just need to say what I need to say. And my mom used to get so irritated. She's like, you have to have the last word. I'm like, that's not it. I mean, that could also be it. But I have to say my piece. You need to know my intentions. Because you're going to walk away thinking I'm just inept.
Right.
Or I'm insubordinate. Or I'm whatever. And that does not sit right with me. Huh. This balance is out of whack. I'm being yelled at. And I'm never going to walk away from a situation and just be yelled at. Like, nope.
Yeah.
You're going to come back here and you're going to listen to me say what I have to say because I've listened to you, whoever. And now we can be even Steven about it. We can walk away with a handshake and an understanding. But I have never, like, I was in the stinking army and I did not do well of, like, you stand there at attention and just be chewed out.
Right.
And the whole time it's like, no, I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
And a couple times I had to. Like I had this guy that was in charge of me and one of the most amazing people in my life. And he looked at me and he was like, you know how you do that? He's like, you say permission to speak freely. And when you say permission to speak freely, you can say whatever you want to. Huh. He's like, that's your chance. Just like, boom, shotgun at the person. Because they let you say whatever you wanted to. That's their own stupid fault for saying yes. But I know that about me personally as an almost 35-year-old. If I don't get to say my part, or not necessarily a rebuttal, because I could agree 100% with the discipline I am being dished out. I agree. I did wrong. I know that I did wrong. I've internalized
it's just
that.
being heard.
It's just I have to be heard. I need you to understand where I came from or what my thought process was so that you don't think I'm just stupid or purposely and willfully insubordinate. Like, I just need to be heard.
Yeah.
That's it.
So, two things from that. One, after she said that, I totally realized that we were not doing that. And I had to explain to her that the reason that we have a response to everything is because it's our job as parents to like turn her into a good adult. It's like we're trying to reinforce the right stuff and trying to, move her away from the wrong stuff. And part of that is how you treat people, how you respond to people. And so we had a big conversation around that. Second thing is, you just made me realize part of why YouTube comments are so frustrating to me. Because somebody gets to yell at me and I don't get to yell back.
You don't get to say it back. And that's why whenever I answer comments as you, there are certain times when I have to log out of your account and log into my account and say something snarky back to people.
And I don't even think it's like that I want to say anything mean. No matter what I say, it doesn't get heard. And it's not...
won't be right. It won't satiate that. It will never...
I think it's like, we talk about every action here, and we talk about why things are being done, and I at least think through why I'm making all these choices. That doesn't mean they're the best choices. It means I have a reason for them.
They're substantiated to you.
Yeah, right.
And that's all it needs to be.
And so I think a lot of times when the comments are, I can't believe you did that, or why in the world would you do something this way, or this is going to happen because of that choice. If we were doing that in person, I would be like, oh, well, what I was thinking was blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And it could still be wrong. I mean, I'm not saying all my logic is sound, but I would at least have well, here's what I was thinking. Like, let's talk about it. But in that case of that, like, you're an idiot. I can't believe you did it this way. I logged off. I'm done. And then I'm just sitting here like, well, but I was thinking.
They ignorantly won that conversation. I think of it, maybe it's back to my, like, debate time in high school, is that person not... in a real sense, won because I did not get to address their point.
To respond, yeah.
Like, I cannot rebuke or rebuttal. I can't refute anything that you just said because I don't have the venue to do so. Thereby, there are open points that you made that I did not address, so you won. And nope. That doesn't sit right with me and never, ever, ever will. Because like you said, I'm not, reckless, especially when I have worked for people. I'm very independent. I know what I need to do. You don't need to micromanage me. Leave me be. And if I make a decision that is based on the good or the purpose of what it is that we're doing that may not line up with some policy or some political kind of tiptoe that I'm like, I think is stupid, that's usually when I need to be brought back, honed into centers. Whenever I go off and I'll run my own thing.
Right.
And I go, oh, okay, I guess I do work for Lockheed or the Army or whoever. And so when I'm being disciplined, it's like, yeah, I get what you're saying. But you need to understand where I'm coming from because it's probably because I feel like I'm right. And I can sway that person.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you can scream until you're red in the face and you pass out. But maybe it is my mom is right. I just need to get the last word. So that you need to know that I'm right and I drop the mic and then we're done.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, and I think as a parent, you also want to have the last word just because you are in charge and you are responsible. And so maybe it's not the same reasoning, but it is still you want to have the last word because you want the final say in discipline or whatever. And I think if we can get in the habit, I'm talking about Jenny and I, if we can get in the habit of letting them have their say, they get that out.
Yep.
And then it gives us the chance to have the last word. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But if we say what we're trying to make the last word and then they want to talk, then we're fighting against, but I just had the last word, you got to stop. And they're like, I just want to say my piece,
Yep.
Right or wrong. So I think there's a lot of learning that we have to do there, and we have to figure out how to control ourselves in the moment to think about that and not be on the defense all the time. And we've talked about that before, like that Scream-Free Parenting book talks a lot about how defensive parents can get about everything and how we take everything personally and stuff. And it is such a hard habit to break.
Yep.
But I think that would go a long way in being able to let the kid get their thing out, say what they need to say, explain themselves or whatever, and let us be able to hear that without taking it personally. So that's work we need to do. I need to do for sure.
I found that allowing them to say their piece, because I come to that realization for myself. With my oldest son, I have to react to him the way that someone needs to react to me. Because we have, like, our personalities are so similar. And so if I recognize a trait within myself, I have to stop and go, 9.5 out of 10 times, this applies to him too.
Yeah.
And when I let him say his piece, he will usually tell me his thought process or tell me his intentions. And so that is when I can really get to the heart of kind of correction. I go, that is where your logic is flawed.
I see.
Right there.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Is I don't have to scream until I'm red in the face about something that is
It's not on the
parallel.
mark. Yeah.
It's not hitting him where he is. It's not hitting his issue. I'm speaking a whole nother language. Until he gets to say his piece. And I'm like, oh, you just want to make all of your own decisions without consequence. Yes. I'm like, oh, okay. Well,
Tough noogies.
that's not a thing.
That's interesting. I mean, it's when you say it like that, it sounds like, oh, well, that would actually simplify the entire process.
It kind of does,
And
because
kind of diffuse the whole thing.
Yeah, but you have to, man, I have to be, I'm going to use individual language. I have to be patient enough and not angry in the moment.
Yeah.
And that anger kind of comes from, like, what did I do wrong in my parenting or my decision making to make you think that this was okay?
Right.
Which then, now I say that out loud, I go back to, like, I lit stuff on fire. Like, I've done all kinds of stuff that was...
And you can look at your parents and say, well, it's not my parents' fault that I set stuff on fire.
No.
Right.
It was mine.
Yeah.
Absolutely mine. And so I can say this now in this moment of hindsight clarity, but in that moment, being able to take a breath and not be angry at it, and I struggle with that so much because you know what I expect. I've laid out expectations. And especially with him, he and I have had a lot of heart-to-heart, like, we are understanding each other moments. And I told him one day, I don't know if we talked about this here, like, my parenting style, the responsibilities that I have, it was either 3 or 4 things, I don't remember. And the first is that you don't die. I'm supposed to, allow you to live. So you need food, clothing, make sure you eat your dinner, things like that. I will provide those things for you so that you will live. Mm-hmm. Live a good life, live a bad life. That's up to you so that you can continue on this planet physically. And the second was that you can grow up to be like a good and godly man, like respecting other people, treating other people the way that you would want to be treated, looking out for those that have hardships in their life, making yourself available to people. And then the third one was that you won't be a white trash hooligan. So that you won't run around in a store or, all the things that I can conjure up in my associations with a white trash hooligan. Like, no, you're not going to get a face tattoo. This is not a good idea in the moment. You're going to regret this later. And so the things that I tell him to do, I'm like, are going to be associated. They're all going to tie back to those 3 things. I was like, it's on me as a parent to make sure that whenever I harp on you or I try to discipline you or I try to correct what you're doing, that I am focused on those, at least in my family, at least 3 things.
Yeah.
Everything else outside of that, it's really not that big a deal.
Or it's a derivative of one of those.
It's and it's how strong that bond is back to the central root.
Yeah.
So, and it's a lot of times I have to check myself. I don't know if we talk about cleaning rooms. Like that Screen-Free Parenting book talked about their room is their room. If it really is theirs, then why should I care if it's messy or whatever? And I tiptoe that line really, really hard.
Yeah.
Because I associate that with like your attention to detail and losing things that I've spent money on and caring about stuff.
There's also kind of like the responsibility thing. Like if it's like the whole parable in the Bible about giving somebody the talents. Like if you give somebody something and you give them dominion over a thing, what they do with that counts. And if they do good with it and they take care of it, you want to give them more. If they do bad with it, you want to give them less. And so I look at the way our kids treat their rooms and the things that we buy them and stuff like that. I treat that as, this is your chance to show me that you can at least maintain what we give you. I'm not asking you to like plant a garden and produce food for the family or anything, but like don't destroy your toys. The other day, second son got mad and took his glasses off and threw them down.
Ooh.
Broke his glasses. I fixed those glasses twice, not because he broke them, like he accidentally broke them, and I glued them back together a couple times. So he threw them down in anger and shattered the piece that I had fixed before came off. And because he's had little reactions like that in the past, we were just like, all right, I told you before, if you threw your glasses, you're buying new glasses. And this is a kid who scrimps and saves and does chores for 50 cents to be able to, like eke up his little $14 piggy bank. Like, that's a big deal. And he was like, well, how much are my glasses? And my wife was like, I paid $300 when we got them before.
Ooh.
And he was like,
Dun, dun,
that'll
dun.
take forever. And I'm like, yeah.
Sure will.
I paid $300 for your glasses that you threw on the ground.
Yep.
You want glasses? You want to see?
You want to look at stuff?
I mean,
boy?
he has 2 pairs of glasses, to be fair, but his secondary pair now is not there, and he is responsible for buying. Truth be told, the frames are like $80, and so we told him.
Nobody needs to tell him.
No, I told him yesterday. I was like, I looked up those frames specifically, and they're like $80, so you don't have to pay $300, but still, you're going to be saving for months.
Yep.
Months of not spending anything on the stuff that you want because you got angry after being told this. Like, you've had warnings. This is not we didn't drop this on him. And you cared more about expressing your anger violently than saying it or yelling or, you took an action.
Yep.
And now the responsibility to you is money and time. And you're going to do your chores and you're going to have a happy heart about it. And then you're going to give me all that money back. And he totally understands it, which is good. I mean, he's not like fighting that, but he's disappointed, of course.
Well, that's good. I mean, I think that's kind of what you want, is for them to want to change and for them to recognize the error of their ways. And whether it's a monetary kind of setback that sets that point home, then did I tell you that we made Deacon pay for his dinner one time?
Yeah, you told me. I don't know if you told it on here.
Yeah. But my oldest son going out to this new restaurant. And we were going to go to the pizza place. And I'm like, well, I'm your dad. I know what you eat. We go through this battle every single day. And my oldest son, who is 8, was like, I want the meatballs. I'm like, no, you don't.
You don't eat meatballs.
You don't want that. Yeah, I want that. I'm like, you're not going to eat that. He's like, but that's what I want. And he stood his ground so firm. And I pointed at the restaurant, or pointed at people getting them. I'm like, that's what you're ordering. He's like, oh, no. I know. That's what I want. I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to encourage this. Like, you want to try new foods? Hooray for this. I'm like, but please don't let this come back and bite me. And they brought it out, and he's like, well, I don't want the sauce on it. I'm like, you saw at least 3 different examples of what this plate is going to look like. This is what you have to eat. He's like, I don't want it. I'm not going to eat it now. I'm like, nope. This was a math problem that I already solved just for you to come back and tell me that I'm wrong and then show me the right. I'm like, no. And he stood his ground. He pitched a fit. I'm like, those meatballs cost $6.50. When we go home, you are paying me $6.50. Because it's not that he tried it and didn't like it. He just arbitrarily said no.
So he didn't even try them?
Nope, didn't even try it. Man. It looked wrong or whatever the reason. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm like, that I will not abide. You are going to pay for this food. So we went home. He got his piggy bank from all the little chores and stuff that he's been doing around the house. Paid me money for his dinner. And that's the rule. If you don't like something, that's different.
Yeah.
And yet, like, please tell me what you don't like about it. Not just, I don't like it. It looks weird. That's not a reason. And especially when I knew that this was going to happen. I'm not dumb. I'm like, nope, you're paying for dinner now.
Yeah, one of ours, the same kid with the glasses, none of my kids are super picky eaters, but he specifically just freaks out about squash.
I don't like squash.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite, but, like, I'll eat it, right? And my wife tries to make a lot of vegetable stuff, and she'll put vegetables in chili and different things, so we get vegetables, and that's good. But he always throws a fit he always makes, like, oh, man, like a squash. Mm-hmm. And for every other kid, I'm like, suck it up. You're going to eat the squash. Like, we don't do this in our house. Yeah. You eat the food that's in front of you.
Eat that squash.
And for him, he will eat the food, and then he will throw up.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's a texture thing. We figured out that, like, he'll kind of look at it and complain and be like, I really don't want to. And we're like, that's it. You got to eat it. So he'll put it in his mouth and start chewing and then just start gagging. And I feel bad. So now we've kind of like, okay, we got to figure out something else for you. But that's one of those things that, I mean, he can't control that, I don't think. He doesn't gag about anything else, but that one thing.
That was me and eggplant.
Yeah,
My
I
mom
bet
used
that
to-
would, I'm sure, give
Yep.
him the exact same.
She would pitch a huge fit about me not eating it. I'm like, it's gross. Like, I'm telling you right now, I do not enjoy that. And I remember as a kid, I'm like, there are foods that you don't like. You've told me that.
Yeah.
And I just take you on your word. I'm like, I don't want to eat this.
So
And
how do you? Sorry, go ahead. Finish your story.
No, but it was, I remember one time, eggplant, I threw up. And she just thought I was being dramatic. I'm like, how dramatic can you be to throw up? I'm not stomping my feet like I vomited because it's just,
You
it's
should
that
go to acting
repulsive.
school.
But I'm sorry. How do I what?
How do you handle like when your wife makes something that you actively don't like, but you know that your kids should learn how to eat?
That doesn't happen in our house.
Really?
One thing that I really don't like about dinner time, and I stand my ground when my wife is more loving and patient than I am, is when she knows that they won't eat something, so she will make them like a grilled cheese or like some pasta with like butter noodles or whatever. I don't do that. I'm making dinner, and if you don't want to eat it, then you're going to go hungry. Again, this is rule
yeah.
number one. I have to make sure that you live. Not a happy life. That's up to you. You need sustenance. I have provided you.
What I mean is
look
like
at the feast.
So if she's making, I don't know, I can't think of a thing, but imagine it was squash. Imagine you don't like squash, but she's making a dish with squash in it, and you don't want, like, okay, I'll speak for myself. I don't like onions that much, and I usually don't put onions in things, even cooked onions. I just don't like them. I don't really like spinach that much. I mean, I'll eat it in a salad, but it's just not a thing. And so when my wife makes something with one of those things in it, it's like I want to set the example to the kids that they should learn how to eat it, but I also don't want to eat it. And my wife knows that I don't like those things. And what she wants the best for us. Like, I'm an adult. I should get over it and eat it. But like, how do you deal with that?
I don't think you have to be an adult and deal with it. I think that you're a person that knows that you don't like a thing. And I'll tell you right now, if my wife tried to put eggplant in food, I'm going to protest and I'm going to pitch a fit. I'm going to pitch up a straight up whiny baby fit. What is this nasty thing doing in my house? Objection. And I tell them the same thing. If there's I know that my oldest son doesn't like tomatoes. He may have had a single tomato in all of his life, but he will stand his ground at tomatoes. I can't hide him in something. He will pick it out. I don't want that. And I'm like, he's just making this up. But I know my brother is an adult. He doesn't like tomatoes. I'm like, well, okay, people don't like things. And then we try to explain to him, like, oh, your tastes change as you get older. Maybe one day you might like it. And he doesn't want to hear that. And honestly, if someone were trying to tell me that right now about eggplant, I would call them liars. So there's some things I give them grace. I go, okay. But my middle son sees the older one not like something.
Yeah.
Which could be an actual thing. And he would go, oh, I don't want that either. I think it's gross. And I'm like, your personal likes and dislikes are affecting the other two. And they don't know that they don't like it. Where, I mean, my daughter, she'll eat pretty much anything. But my middle son will mirror what my oldest son says he likes or doesn't like. So he's just a complete outlier. Like, I don't know what he enjoys or what he does or doesn't.
He just inherits from his opinion.
Well, he just sits there. And we know he likes pancakes. Dude will gnarl down some pancakes. But those things like food preferences, it's so frustrating. Because I just want them to eat. Like, I come over and when your wife makes food, like for dinner, your kids will eat like a plate full of it. I'm like, man, my kids won't eat. They'll eat like 1.5 cucumbers and the innards of a sandwich, maybe, that doesn't have whatever, like, they like peanut butter and honey sandwiches. They like peanut butter and honey sandwiches because my oldest son read in this Winnie the Pooh book that Christopher Robin packed a peanut butter and honey sandwich for lunch. So he ate that one time. He liked it. And so that is a sandwich. Standard.
Huh.
If it is called a sandwich, which is the most broad term on the face of the planet, that means it's a peanut butter and honey sandwich, probably with no crusts. I'm like, brother, you got to try jelly. He's like, no, jelly's disgusting. I'm like, I know you've never had it. And no, it's not. It's awesome. I tricked him in eating a ham and cheese sandwich from Subway one time, and now he's like, Subway sandwiches are the best sandwiches ever.
Yes.
I'm like, they're
my
not,
kids
though.
are like that,
They're-
too. I'm like,
they're
that is
garbage.
a kind of garbage sandwich, but, you know.
It is the McDonald's bathroom of sandwiches. Like, it is not. There's so so many things in life that are better than that.
Yeah.
And it's either, and whenever I'm with them, I'm like, ooh, let's go play chef and let's make something cool. And he's like, no, I just want a peanut butter and honey sandwich. Maybe some goldfish. I'm like, and I think it bugs me at his lack of imagination or his steadfastness to do the exact same thing and resistant to anything else.
Okay, so you said that he shares a lot of his personality with you.
I knew you were, whenever you make that tone, that means you're going to turn my words around on me.
I'm not turning it around on you. I'm just curious, like, what have you noticed about yourself? Maybe not specifics, but, like, do you see that type of stuff in yourself?
I probably did. And then I got to see things that were outside of my little bubble.
Right.
And I got to experience more of the world and more of different people and just saying yes to stuff. But again, that was a certain point in my semi-adult life. Right. I don't know what I ate when I was a kid. Probably not that great because both my parents worked and we just scrounged for what we had. There was a lot of little, like those little lunch bags of chips. And I mean, 80s and 90s junk food. It was just, that's what we had.
Ecto Cooler.
Yeah, tons of that. But I do remember, like, as a young adult, going like, that's what a green bean tastes like. Not the ones in the can.
Huh.
Like, actually having fresh food. And so I think my kids are spoiled. And if we reverted back to, like, you're just going to eat the corn niblets out of a can and you think that's vegetables, like, that's going to give you an improper perception of what food actually tastes like.
Right.
But it's super salted. It's got a little beef broth or whatever in it to kind of add some flavor. So I don't know, maybe as a kid I ate stuff because it was engineered to already kind of taste good. And then when I had a fresh version of whatever that is, I'm like, this is a carrot? Carrots are not cute.
I'm not laughing at you. That's just a really...
No, but it's like, this comes from the ground, not from the freezer section.
Yeah.
And I remember green beans. Like, I like green beans now. Or peppers. Oh my God, peppers. Hated peppers. Hated peppers forever. Because they were in just like the fajita kit or whatever. Like, both my parents worked. They made food work. They were loving, amazing people that made sure that we didn't die. So they fed us food. It wasn't usually fresh stuff because that was more expensive. We had cans of stuff because it was cheaper at the commissary to get like a pallet full of niblet corn than it would be to get 2 ears of corn.
Yeah.
And so when I was able to like taste real food and appreciate something that was different, it was different and better. And I don't think that he is at the point yet where he even cares about different to find out that it is better.
Right.
He just likes what he likes.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to deviate from that. And I think that at 8 years old is a very adult way of thinking. I mean, it's an unfortunate adult way of thinking. It stays in your little world without venturing out. But
Yeah.
I mean, you can easily be rewarded for having that train of thought your entire life.
Yeah. That is unfortunate, though.
I think it is unfortunate, too.
And because that's one of those things that, like, if it's never checked or never challenged, then you just miss out on a lot. Food and otherwise. I mean, I think it's less about food and more about just being able to give stuff a shot that you're not used to. But
Yes, and that's one of those things as a parent that the peanut butter and honey sandwich is an analogy for life. And so I'm trying to blow this thing up way, way more than it needs to because the kid just wants to eat a sandwich. And he likes what he likes.
yeah, but it's, I mean, you can say you're blowing that up, but there's a lot of truth to that. Like the way that they handle the small situations that have no consequence inform how they're going to handle the things that have consequence. I mean, it kind of matters. That's why I was trying to tell my daughter about, like, when you freak out and scream at someone or get upset because somebody says something you don't like, and we're talking about dinner or we're talking about putting toys away or something, like, that's not okay.
Yep.
Because when it matters and somebody, like, your job is on the line,
you're going to revert back to
something,
that.
Yeah, that's how you're going to act. And that's not good. Ooh, look at that. It's Ironing Man.
Iron War Man Sheens standing all up on his own. But check it out. We're going to... He crashed.
We're 54 minutes in.
Well, do we have a takeaway from all this? Do we have a little tiny thing that we can try to do, like, today?
For me, I know that I need to let my children speak with not that they're going to get what they want, not that they need to be heard. And I think it's fair for me to hear them and then be able to respond. And I think your point of trying to understand what it is they're trying to get across may actually help me respond in a more effective, more direct way. I think that's good.
It takes the guessing out of being a parent, because I'm still not the best at it. It's a technique that needs to be learned and a practice that needs to be used over and over again.
Practice for sure.
What do I want to try to take away? I think giving our kids grace, or no. I read a book recently. It was the Mayor Pete Buttigieg, the guy who's running for president.
Say what?
Yeah, I read his book, and he's a very efficient and like technology-oriented person who likes feedback and data, just like I do. And he made this point. He's like, the best lean system that you could possibly have makes no account for mercy.
Ooh.
Because mercy is a complete break of a system for an individual, which is completely contrary to the efficiency and the leanest way to do something. And I went, ooh, that was good, because I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
And I've never thought about that as very analytical, but I've never thought about that in regards to my children. Because the kind of, not really even the army in me, I'm very efficient with what I do. And I go, okay, so that all of us can achieve maximum happiness in the shortest amount of time, you go get shoes, you go get this, you go make sure your water cup is filled, you go do this, and everybody get in the van, ready to go.
We're gonna have fun. Go do it now.
Well, before that, like all those
I understand,
steps,
but like with the intention of like I'm planning ahead for good.
we are maximizing efficiency to achieve ultimate happiness. And then they all just stare at me. And then the one starts playing with Pokemon cards, or the one walks in the complete opposite direction. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're breaking everything. We are not going to achieve maximum happiness with this outcome.
Yes.
And that's where mercy comes in. And I'm like, ooh, that's stuck.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And so with dinner, with getting ready to go, with the like, boom, 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 boom. If you do this, you do this, you do this, we're getting out of this house in 5 seconds instead of an hour, and everything's going to be great. And then they don't.
Right.
And I need to allot mercy.
Yeah.
I need to go in with, it would be great if we can achieve maximum happiness goal.
But like decent happiness is
efficiency
still pretty good.
A+. If we achieve C+, then we're doing good.
Yeah.
And hopefully we will all push that efficient time scale toward maximum happiness.
We just need a net positive on the happiness.
Yes. But that realization that not even just in an efficient system that, you know, as a systems engineer, I just love, I never equated that to my kids and how I interact with them.
Yeah.
And the way that I send information to them. And I go, man, it sure would be great if they were tiny little robots who did funny things when I wanted to be entertained. But that's not how that works.
That's not how it works. Yep. Yeah. That's a good point. All right, one more thing I was thinking about real quick. Did you have a friend, or was your dad this way, that would just, or like you've maybe seen it in a movie, like the dad that always just walked around the house in his underwear?
So my dad, God, I love my dad. My dad walks around in Hanes sweatpant shorts.
Okay.
Sweat shorts?
Schwartz?
With no underwear and a sleeveless gray. He's like monochromatic gray.
Oh, double gray.
A gray t-shirt with no sleeves but still has the pocket.
Okay.
And sweat shorts.
Sweat shorts.
And socks that come up about halfway up his shin.
Okay.
And I remember, like, if people came over and he was just, like, sitting there, like, he would lean back in a chair a certain way. I'm like, oh, man, my dad's got no underwear on. But that's, like, unless he's at work where he dresses professional and he comes home and he's like, poof, like, puts on his costume. He's like, this is my dad costume. And now he has an I like to make stuff hat, but it used to be just this grayish, bluish, benign nothing hat with his gray on gray and nothing else.
That's funny. Do you watch the Goldbergs?
No.
Okay,
we talked about this.
The main character, the dad on the Goldbergs, he walks in the house and at the front door, like he shuts the door and drops his pants, and he doesn't have pants on the entire time. It dawned on me recently why, like growing up, you're always like, goodness, why doesn't the dad have pants? Double gray.
Yeah, that was my dad.
Why doesn't the dad have pants on? And as an adult, as a homeowner, as a father, I totally understand. This is my dominion.
Yeah.
And if I walk around in my underwear, I get it now. I don't, but like I could.
Yep.
And I would feel perfectly fine with it.
If people want to knock on my door, there is a contract that they are assuming that whatever is on the other side of that door, they're going to be okay with.
And the reason... What is happening?
we have an
over there?
alarm.
Oh. That means we have to stop.
we're
But the
trouble
reason
now.
I thought about this is because like I was getting out of the shower or something, and I walked into our bedroom from our bathroom, and our bedroom door was open, and there were a bunch of kids around a few days ago. And I was like, oh, if some kid walks by that's not mine, I'm going to be that dad who's walking around the house in his underwear, even though I'm in my own bedroom. But like, I'm okay with that.
You got to rub your belly button when you do it.
That's
though.
true.
Just to lock that visual in.
Anyway.
But yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that. My dad. God, I love my dad. And he like goes on a walk in the neighborhood with his dad costume on.
His dad.
With his
costume.
gray on gray, with his cut off sweat shorts.
Sweat shorts. That's
And his
pretty funny.
feet are just like the whitest albino because he never takes. I remember he would sunbathe. He would lay out on the back deck and keep his socks on. And I don't know why. He hates the beach because he doesn't like the sand. So when he would like lay out, he would lay out on the back deck in like a lounge chair with his sleeves rolled up, pulled up,
just
to show his biceps,
Just getting the necessary
just to
parts.
get rid of the farmer tan, and keep them socks on.
That's pretty good.
God, I love that man.
That's a good way to
Put some
wrap it up.
underwear on Paul.
All right, where can people find you?
Oh man, at Instagram at the PI Workshop and on Twitter at Josh Makes Stuff.
And you can find us, all of us, at I Like to Make Stuff on all the stuff. If you like the show and you want to help us out, Patreon is a great way to help us afford the Lego kits and model kits that we're spending money on for this. But if you think our random topics and stuff would be helpful to somebody else, send the show around. That would be super cool.
Yeah.
And if not, don't. That's cool too. All right.
We have on
Yes.
Patreon there is a link to Discord. If you don't know what Discord is, it's a private like just chat room. If you remember what chat rooms are.
Yeah.
And so there is one for I Like to Make Stuff. There is one for no instructions. So if you become a patron at one of those levels, I don't know what level it is, you get access to the Discord, and it's just like an instant messaging thing that I know that Anthony looks at, I look at periodically, so we can interact with you a lot closer. We get some of the pros and cons and some of the information that we get for the podcast. I asked right before I walked out of that room on Discord, hey man, what should we talk about? And I got some responses. So if you want some instant or super quick access to all the people here at I Like to Make Stuff, Patreon is the way to do it. We're going to be offering more stuff on Patreon in the upcoming future. Some super ultra mega top cosmic secret stuff.
Cosmic.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize we had cosmic secrets in
It's
the
a
works,
thing.
but I guess we do.
So check out Patreon. There's a lot of good stuff for you over there.
Awesome. And I just put on, I think, the last piece.
That's cool.
Oh, well, I kind of missed a couple, but pretty much the last
That
piece.
is cool looking.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Awesome. All right. Thanks for listening and watching, everybody.
Woo.
We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye. I got the last word.
Sure you did. Bye-bye. Stop it, quick.